Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Delmar, together with my co-host Mark Ronich of Statewide News Service and jbiztechvalley.com. We have a very special guest with us, Mr. Tim Nichols, Albany County Legislator. Tim, can I call you by your first name?
Tim's fine.
Tim, a little informal, but we'll be friends.
Thank
Welcome to Jewish View.
Well, he's dressed informally also, so we can call him. But I've known Tim for over 20 years,
Really?
and I think
Yeah,
he's absolutely a phenomenal spokesman for the people in Latham. So
Thank you. That's what I say. I was just going to ask you, say Latham, just what is exactly the district you represent?
It is actually North Colony. Latham is a zip code. It's not a village or
it's a hamlet.
But it's
like
not,
Loudonville's
exactly.
a hamlet. Yeah.
And so I represent the northern part of Colony, which
so like at
borders
the
Cohoes
Saratoga
and goes
border,
up to the river. Yes.
Saratoga border and then down.
Exactly.
And
about corners, Forts Ferry Road, Verdoy Fire Department up in that neighborhood.
So what? You've been a county legislator for how many years now?
Since 2004, and I did serve one term in 1992. I got elected in 92.
And
I
defeated
served from 93 to 95.
And then had the revenge of winning back your seat.
Correct. Came back.
Came back
Like
better
The
than
Walking
ever.
Dead in 2004. I'm a big
What, a
fan.
10-year lapse?
About 8 years. About 8 years.
So, have you been? Now you're working in the Assembly. You're working for one of our Jewish legislators.
Yes.
Rhoda Jacobs.
Right.
You're her chief of staff.
Legislative director.
Legislative director.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's not your first go round in the state legislature.
No.
Do you use your county legislature position to impact state legislative laws, like something that could be passed on the county level, could be a model for the state, and then you could sort of try to influence that and say, well, I was the county legislator who got this passed, and you can advocate, not lobby, but advocate for a certain law.
I think the skills are transferable, but not necessarily the issues. You know what I mean? The Assemblywoman's district is Brooklyn.
Right.
She was at one time the chair of the Social Services Committee. So sometimes there's an interest on my part on issues that were social services related, for example, when I worked for her years ago. Now it's a little bit different. She no longer chairs the committee, so her legislative agenda is a little different than it was.
What does she chair now?
She is the assistant speaker, so she has a leadership position now and does not have a chair of a committee.
So in the leadership position, how is she in the ranking of the pecking order? Is she and I know there's majority leader,
right?
There's the assistant majority leader, there's the assistant speaker.
That's her title.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, is she fifth? Is she what? What
I
does her license plate say?
I think it's pretty well up there.
It is.
I don't know what order it is specifically, but her responsibilities are to assist the speaker when he is unable to attend certain events. Sometimes she'll go on his behalf, attend meetings with him and his staff.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yes, sir.
So when they're talking about replacement of the speaker and that there's no one who can...
She fully supports Sheldon Silver.
No one in the... that there's no one in the wings to take over if he decides to step down. Is she someone that would be in the wings, or is she past her prime and
I can't speak for her. What I would say is that if
because how old is Rhoda now?
She's in
70, right?
Yeah, over 70.
Yeah.
So but she is as fit as can be and as active as ever.
Well, she had a knee replacement.
These city people know how to stay in shape. Walking around.
I'm from Brooklyn. I know Rhoda very well.
So no, she's
elected,
she's very active. I'm not just saying that because I work for her. She really is as active and as involved in her community.
She had an ankle problem or a knee problem?
She I think 2 years ago, before I came back to work for her, toward the end of session, she stepped off of the in the assembly chamber and twisted her ankle pretty badly. Right. But she's pretty much recovered from that. Yeah.
What's your job, though? It's interesting as a chief of staff over. I'm just saying, I know that's your title, but what?
Right. Well,
actual,
I
you know,
handle-
real
No,
estate
he's
fund.
legislative director.
Yeah.
So he prepares the
Her
legislation.
chief of staff is in
Yeah.
Brooklyn in her district office,
Right.
managing the district office, the staff there, the issues that come in through her office. I handle her Albany agenda, her Albany legislative agenda, her
All the bills
bills,
that
make
come
sure they're
through.
filed. We have sponsors, keep track of them in committee, and I assist with constituent work and things like that. So it's you know,
Do you
public.
lean her to any way to vote on one way or the other? I mean, do you have that much of a say-so, or?
No,
You're more like, here it is.
she might ask, you know, what I think about something or get me some information, but she knows these issues better than I do.
She'll ask the speaker before she asks.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I'll get overrode on that every time. So.
Now you know Rhoda.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
been there for how many years, though? I
Oh
mean,
gosh, like 35 years.
Really?
Yeah.
She's
But
very
she comes to the Tu B'Shvat.
Yeah, we always have Jewish things going on
Mm-hmm.
for the viewers, and I mean, we're next door neighbors here in the capital.
Right.
So Chabad, our Jewish group, is really all over the world,
Mm-hmm.
literally international. But since we're in the Albany area, so we deal with the capital, and therefore when
Right.
it comes to Jewish holidays, sometimes they're minor holidays. I don't know how Mark brought up Tu B'Shvat's the New Year for trees. It's a minor holiday, but it's cute, and you eat new fruit, so we bring new fruits
And then
on
the
platter.
Rebbe,
Oh,
the
that's
Rebbe's
nice.
birthday celebration where the Rebbe Bootman comes up and hands out matzahs. I mean, but
Yes.
she's there for all of these.
Yeah,
Yes,
she
she
comes
is.
to
She's
all the
very
Jewish
active
events
and
that
yes.
we do for sure, that
Right.
she's right there.
Yeah. So have you been learning more of the Jewish culture and ethnicity? And,
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, I
it
worked
rub
for
off?
Rhoda years ago,
Yeah.
so coming back in January, it was, you know, I had to remember certain things, but, you know, it was good to know I didn't lose a lot of it. So,
Now, do you have in your district there's a strong Jewish community? Or
sure,
not so
she has
much?
part of.
No, your
oh, in my-
district.
in
Yeah,
my
yeah, let's
di-
go
I'm
back
sorry.
to you. It's all about you, Tim.
Yeah, you know, definitely. I mean, I don't believe there's any synagogues in my
No, there's-
district,
no.
but oh yeah, there are.
There are none in Colony.
I have
the town of
constituents.
Colony has no synagogue.
You know, I never realized that until you just said that. But when you said it, when it was coming out of your mouth, I realized I know what he's going to say, and he's right.
and
that's
there's
interesting.
really nothing.
Well, it's because the Jewish community, I mean, the Orthodox people, well, for example, we don't drive because you don't work, and that's including driving a car.
Okay.
But the Reformer conservative factions of sects of Judaism, they say, well, in order to come to temple, we'll allow you to drive. So once they allowed that, so instead of obviously how much can you walk, so you're talking around a temple or a mile radius.
Right.
That's why you have a strong Jewish community, Orthodox Jewish community, right centered in Albany. Once they allowed that, you can be in Latham and Saratoga, so it's a 20-minute drive
Right.
anywhere.
Okay.
They're doing that constantly. So therefore they say, well, so I go 5 minutes, I'll go 10 minutes into Albany, wherever I go. So really, I mean, there's a lot to talk about on a Jewish point of view, but it really was to break down the Jewish neighborhoods when they allowed, go wherever you want and within whatever driving distance, which
Right.
15, 20 minutes, and now they're all scattered and you don't feel a close Jewish presence in any
Right.
Jewish community.
Are
The
there
one
any-
thing about Colony is you need to drive everywhere. So.
That's right. You did
Unfortunately.
you did a pricing item pricing
Yes.
bill in 2011, and what was that all about?
Well, you may recall that in the
My
early
age, I don't
in
recall
the in the
much.
early in the early 90s, when the scanners first appeared. Remember when President Bush, the father,
Yes.
went to a store and he didn't know that they had a scanner and he was, you know, out of it. People
Befuddled.
were, what are you doing, you know, with that? No, you know, and he was criticized and sort of ridiculed for it. Anyway, the scanners were just coming onto the scene, and even our president at the time didn't know what they were. So a lot of the consumer advocates, and matter of fact, Assemblywoman Jacobs had legislation like this, required labeling of the price on products in grocery stores in particular, where the scanners were coming out, you know, all over the place. So that was necessary then. The scanners were not accurate. The consumers were not adept at dealing with the scanners. A lot of people like to look at their cash register receipt and compare it to their tagged items after they got home to make sure everything was accurate. So, but fast forward 20 years later, when I can carry more power on my iPhone than I had on my laptop back in 1991 or whatever. Not my laptop, my desktop.
Right.
We've all become very accustomed to technology and this sort of technology. It didn't make any sense to require grocery stores to label every single individual item anymore. Albany County was the last county in upstate New York that did not allow for the grocery stores to use their modern technology and avoid the tasks and expense of itemizing each product. So
we really weren't the leader in this.
We were not. We were definitely the last of the batch to do this. And the grocery stores were really saying, there was concern about people losing their jobs and consumers being, inconvenienced. But what we did with my bill was first we required that there were price check scanners throughout the grocery stores.
That's a law. I mean, I always see them, but that really
Yes,
is
that
a law.
we made them. If you want to have a waiver from we didn't repeal the item pricing law. It's still in effect. But if you want to get a waiver, then you have to meet these certain criteria. One of the criteria is a price check scanner. So if you don't know because it was misplaced on the shelf what the price of the can of beans are, you can go and scan it under a scanner and it'll tell you. So that was one of them, and then we increased the accuracy of the scanner. So when our county weights and measures folks come out to test the scanner accuracies, if they're not reaching an accuracy level of at least, I think, 99%, then they get fined. And if they get too many fines, they lose their waiver.
So did you sponsor both pieces
well,
of legislation?
it was one local law. It took a while to get these provisions right and to gain the support enough to pass it.
Who sponsored the first one?
The item pricing legislation was not sponsored by me. That actually preceded me by, I think, 1 year in 1991.
So that was in place before you got into the county legislature, and then you sponsored the update to the scanning. I see.
But
now,
I did support both. I mean, at the time, I really thought item pricing was very necessary, but not now.
But did you then bring this measure where you had to have the individual scanners to the state legislature?
No.
And say to Rhoda,
no, because the state actually passed a statewide bill affecting most of the other counties that didn't have their own individual item pricing laws in place. So no, and I wasn't working for Rhoda at the time anyway. But this was really isolated to Albany County.
What were you doing in between? Were you at the American Cancer Society?
Lung Association.
Lung Association.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Lung cancer. Okay. And then what else did you do after the Lung Association?
Well, I was with the Lung Association for about 8 years.
Right.
And then I went to go work for Assemblyman Bob Briley.
Oh, right. You were chief of
and
staff
I was there
to him?
for him for almost 8 years.
Were you chief of staff?
I was.
Oh, there you go. I knew you were chief of staff to someone.
Yes.
Now, you wanted to succeed Bob Briley?
Yes.
Or what was that about?
Well, he had decided he wasn't going to run for re-election to his assembly district. The assembly district had changed a little bit, picked up part of Schenectady and the Tananiski unit. When Bob represented that district, it included Half Moon and Clifton Park and the entire town of Colony. So it was a very Republican district. And when they redid the district, when they redistricted, they changed it slightly, and
Moved
now
it
it's
west.
more of a Democratic district. So I have a great deal of experience working in the assembly, working outside of the assembly, being a county legislator. I felt this was my opportunity to be a member of the state assembly.
Right.
So
and there are a lot of people who are assembly members now who were chief of staff or on staff. Probably I could think of 25 people.
Really?
Who move up.
Because they know the work.
Because they know that, and their constituents know them, and they have confidence and name recognition and all this. That's why all these chiefs of staff are very polite and nice to everyone. They think that there's a future moving up. But
well, I felt, and I still do, that I had the skill set and the knowledge base to move into a position like the assembly and kind of start from day one without any kind of a learning curve or whatever.
And you ran for the Assembly.
And I did, and I got demolished.
You were like a 4-way primary
Yeah.
or something?
Yep.
And you came in 5th or 4th?
Yeah,
No.
out of 4, I came in 5th. I sort of felt like it. Yeah, it was tough. It was there were a lot of complications.
What did you learn from that experience? Because your boss didn't support you
Right.
in this. So what did you learn from this experience, and what do you bring out of it? You know.
I don't know what I can say on the air here now.
You can.
I'll tell you what. I have absolutely no regrets. First of all, in my decision to run. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. I still believe I was the best candidate. I did support Phil Steck, who did win, eventually win the primary and then the
But
general.
in terms of a campaign and running a campaign and getting to know people, putting a core people together for your campaign, you know, and fundraising, what did you learn with all of that?
Well, I learned that you know what we all hear, which is, you know, money talks, and you need to have a lot of money to run for any position like this, especially when your opponents have a lot more money than you do. Political alliances and allegiances change all the time. You can't predict them. You know, the old saying, if you want a friend in politics, get a dog.
Yes.
Well,
Harry Truman said
that's
that.
absolutely the truth. And so I think I learned valuable lessons about that. That, you know, politics is not always about. It's never about friendships. It's about allegiances and alliances and whatever.
What have you done for me lately, type of thing?
Yeah, you know, or who knows what. You know, it isn't about friendships, and maybe that's true in the business world and other sectors of our society too. That when decisions are made, sometimes that sort of thing, you know, it gets trumped by other reasons.
Well, you mentioned Trump. It's not personal; it's business.
That's right.
That's his expression.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. It's
right.
not personal; it's business.
But that, I mean, you know these things.
And you learned that you didn't know that lesson before.
Well, I think you know it, but until you experience it,
Hit you in the face.
yeah. Then you appreciate it, and I think that's good. It's a good lesson.
How many times? How many different ways can people say, "Sorry, I can't support you"?
All kinds, all kinds. They could say, you know, don't you worry about it, and then you know, oh, great. The next day they got the other guy sign on their lawn, you know. So it's. Yeah, you just you have to. You can't. If you believe in what you're about and your candidacy and what you think you can do for people, that's got to be what drives you. And you can't worry about, you know, whether if you don't think you can do it, then don't bother. I thought I could. I came up short, but you know, I'm glad I tried.
Does it help you be a better either legislative director, a better staff person because you ran for office, and that maybe your representative, whoever it might be, now it happens to be Rhoda Jacobs in this instance, she has no trouble winning re-election, but would you be more of an asset because you did have that experience in terms of, you know, watching out, having the back for your boss, your elected official who you work for?
Yeah, maybe. I think, you know, Assemblywoman Jacobs is a pro at all this sort of thing.
Right,
you know
she's ensconced in her district, and
right,
even though it's changed demographically, she still wins.
Right, and politically, you know, she gets it, you know what I mean? And so I think, in a way, if it's, if I can say after running this after running a campaign and even not winning, and having the challenges that I had to deal with, and kind of overcome them in a way of, you know, personally, not, you know, that makes me a better employee for anybody in a lot of ways.
How do you get along with Assemblyman Steck? I mean, when you see him
I
on
get
the
along
floor,
with Phil fine. I mean, you know, philosophically, Phil and I are on the same page.
Philosophically?
Yeah, there you go. Phil is, you know, and I've had conversations with him, and I told him, I said, you know, the one thing I can at least, you know, say is that probably 99% of the time, when Phil votes on a bill, that would have been the way that I voted. And that gives me some kind of comfort, if you will, that I know at least it isn't someone in there who's totally the opposite of me, you know.
Well, it probably gives him comfort that you won't rise up and run
Yeah,
against
well,
him.
that's, you know.
And
true.
primary.
Right,
So it
right, yeah.
gives him comfort.
Well, he worked hard. And the other thing I'll say about him is he was a longtime Democratic committeeman. He was the chair of the Colony Party. And, you know, that should be worth something. I mean, if at the end of the day it's between someone who's been really active in the party and really worked hard and helped other people and, you know, versus someone who's never done a thing for the party, I'll take the person who's been in the trenches any day, you know. So, so there were a lot of reasons to support Phil.
Now, you've had an issue with the county executive recently, and who his, I guess, chief of staff, who he brought back, who had a legal issue, and then he brought her back, Christine
Right.
Quinn. Well, tell us about her, your problems with having Christine Quinn come back into the county staff, I should say, staff of the county executive.
Christine Quinn was County Executive McCoy's deputy county executive.
Okay.
And in September, she was arrested under the new I-STOP law, which is a law put in place by the state legislature and the governor. I think it came about through the efforts of Attorney General Schneiderman to try and deal with this epidemic we have of prescription drug abuse, kids, young people overdosing on prescription drugs. Some of those prescription drugs are leading to heroin addictions, which are also leading to overdoses. It's a very serious, serious problem. And so the law's put into place, and County Executive McCoy's deputy county executive gets arrested under that law and charged with a felony.
That she sold it?
No, she was trying to access a type of drug that
Was it
is
Ritalin?
Ritalin, I guess. This is the allegations.
Yes.
That she had no legal ability to possess. So she was basically trying to get more than what she was prescribed and trying to, you know, do it in a way that broke the law.
I want a few more pills. Come on, I want a few more pills. Okay.
And so she was charged with the felony
Yeah.
and went out on a leave of absence for 10 weeks.
Right.
And then recently was rehired by the county executive and put into a new job entitled the Director of Information Services. It's basically the head of the IT department. And
Does
at
she
the
have the
same
experience for
time
that?
getting a pay raise.
Yeah, right.
So as if she were back in the deputy county executive position.
Right.
So they moved somebody up to her old position, they moved her into a vacant position, and then they increased her pay, or proposed to increase her pay.
Right.
So I think that's wrong. I think the issue is unresolved. We all wish her well. I don't wish anybody ill will here. But when my constituents talk to me about this, I don't know how in the world I would be able to justify that decision.
Yeah, she's now earning $111,000.
Right. So, and if
she needs to pay her
the
legal
budget,
bills.
if the governor's budget, if the county executive's budget passes, she'll get a pay raise.
On
So,
top of that
yeah,
111,000?
right, that's
another,
correct. And
what?
she'll make more money than the county controller and the public defender, and a tiny bit less than the county sheriff if this goes through. So we've voted last night in committee
Yes.
to reduce her pay to just a little under 100,000. That may go up a little bit because the previous person who had that job was paid 106,000. That's more realistic and something that we could justify, you know, while her charges are pending, to our constituents. But bringing somebody in with that kind of a charge and then giving them hiring them on Monday and then giving them a pay raise on Tuesday is a little bit absurd. You know, we don't even know if she's proficient in this new job. And
I was going to ask you. It says here that she's the Public Information Officer of the Division of Information Services.
Yes.
So she's basically the spokesperson.
Well, it's a little different than what we have at the state level, but she's basically the unit head of that department.
Okay.
So it is a managerial position, but you know, and she has some computer background experience in her background.
Hopefully more than you and I.
Probably, but you know, as we were talking about technology earlier, you know, it changes rapidly.
Yeah.
So if she went to school and did computer courses 10 years ago,
It's different
it's
today.
totally different. It was different than it was 10 minutes ago.
That's right.
So, you know, the point is,
Well, maybe she'll
Bring-
go to Schenectady County Community College in the county office building
Yeah.
and take some classes
might be.
there
We'll see what's
after
offered
hours.
there.
Yeah, see what
Could-
it offers.
could help her out.
Maybe she'll be able to.
but seriously, you know, if there's a position for her, fine, let her get established, and then if things work out and she earns a pay raise, I don't think anybody would have a problem with that. But I think it's the idea
Well,
that while
hopefully-
these charges are pending, you bring her in and give her a pay raise. People have a hard time with that, and I don't blame them.
Okay.
That's why I'm vocal about it and I'm opposing it.
So what about his press secretary, Mary Rozak, getting such a bump in pay, $15,000 raise? Is that what it was?
That's what he's proposing.
Yeah. Do you
Well,
agree with? I mean, the chairman of the county legislature said, "What? She writes all these press releases against me and chastises me, and I should approve a pay
Well,
raise for her."
That's true. I mean, look, the process is if you're going to kick me in the shins, don't ask me for money afterwards, right? And so it does make you wonder, what are they thinking?
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, what are they thinking about Christine Quinn and bringing her back the way they are? What are they thinking about,
Mary Rozak.
you know, hiring someone to do your PR to spend half of your time smacking the people who carry the, you know, have the purse strings? It doesn't make sense. What I would say to that, though, honestly, is that that's up to the county executive. If he thinks his staff person deserves a pay raise, this is someone on his staff, not some department head that, you know, or underling in a department. This is his own personal staff. Then I don't know if the legislature, should interfere in that capacity. You know what I mean? Because he would have to defend it to the public and to us. And, you know.
But we hire you and elect you to be our watchdog.
Right.
Because we don't know.
I know,
enough.
but.
So it's
well,
you're in.
It's a little different in that we're not.
But the public doesn't know it's a little different.
I know. Well, let me say this. I can't, all we can do is confirm
I know.
his appointments in certain areas.
But you can also make an issue out of it and get ink in the paper.
That's right. But you know,
So it doesn't
I
get swept
think
under the
it
rug.
looks petty in a way
It does.
for us to say, we don't like the county executive spokesperson being mean to us, so we're going to cut her pay.
Not cut, but why
Or
give it a raise?
cut the pay raise.
But why give the raise?
If the county executive thinks his spokesperson or whoever believes that that person should get a significant increase in pay, and then
So be it.
yeah, if
Okay. So quickly, with the couple of minutes we have left, how do you think the county executive is doing on a scale of 1 to 10?
3.
Okay. So you're obviously not a fan.
I wish I was. I mean, I'm sorry. I think he's made one bad decision after the other.
I also wanted to ask you, what's next for Tim Nichols?
I have 2 more years on my term, in my current term, and then we'll see. I really enjoy being a county legislator. I work hard. I take it very seriously. I probably will run again. There are issues that I really want to see finished. We
Like
have
what?
to charter reform. We need to do some serious charter reform.
Nursing home?
I want to make sure that we resolve the nursing home
Are
too.
you happy with the direction it's going in with the LDC?
I'm cautiously optimistic about
Okay.
that, but I have my reservations.
You're hopeful. Okay.
I'm hopeful. I think that's where we're headed. I don't know how it's going to come out.
Okay.
I'm a little bit concerned. I think if we had a county executive committed to working with the legislature on the nursing home, we wouldn't need an LDC. We wouldn't have to worry about trying to privatize it. We could get the job done like other counties are doing every day with their nursing homes.
Okay. Well, I think we
We're out of
just
time.
about
Is
ran
that
out
the
of time.
hook?
That's the hook.
Getting the hook, that's it. That's why I say I'm giving classes all the time, and I said, Rabbi, I says, well, I know about getting the hook over here. I can just talk on forever.
Okay.
And in case, Tim Nichols, we only wish you the best wherever your life leads, but you're doing a good job in the Albany County and in the state, and continue with good health and doing good work.
Thank you
Best
very
of
much.
success.
Thank you, Mark.